All right, it appears that we are live with our online viewers on Zoom. I want to thank you for those of you who have arrived in person here at the California Natural Resources Auditorium today here in Sacramento, California. My name is Joe Tyler. I'm the Director and Fire Chief of CAL FIRE. Normally sit on the executive committee here to my right. But I want to recognize the absence of our task force co-chairs, both Secretary Wade Crowfoot, who is on some international work, and then Region 5, Region Forester, Jen Eberline, who fell ill here at the last moment. So myself and Sherry Hazelhurst will co-chair the task force meeting today. And work our way through the agenda. I want to thank all of you again for attending and recognize some housekeeping rules or points of order here. Exits are located in all four corners underneath the staircase, and to the right as you go under the staircase are the restrooms that are available to you should a fire alarm go off or any other emergency go off in this building. All occupants will leave the building, exit the main entry doors onto P Street, and make your way towards the east to 10th Street, where there is the park there. That's where all occupants in this building will go in the event of emergency, be accounted for, and then be released back to the respective floors and to the auditorium should that occur. So I just want to take a moment, and it was important for Secretary Crowfoot, important for myself as well, just to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize a firefighting helicopter accident that occurred on the evening of August 6, 2023 in Cabazon, California, as part of Riverside County. For those of you that are familiar with the area, it is directly, the accident location was directly south of the Morongo Casino on the south side of Interstate 10. We had a large S-64 Sky Crane in a firefighting mission impact a Bell 407 helicopter, a small Type 3 helicopter, what you would normally see our law enforcement partners using. And when those two helicopters collided, the large helicopter was able to land with minor damage, and the main rotor separated from the Bell 407 helicopter with the pilot and the two CAL FIRE employee occupants, resulting in fire and fatality. Last week was the most difficult week in my career thus far, having gone to memorial services for the family on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I thank everybody for their condolences and their thoughts and their prayers as we made it through that difficult time. So that is the update and where we're at from that helicopter accident. Obviously, the NTSB and the FAA will take the lead on preliminary and final findings of that accident, which will potentially take some time to actually learn the official cause of the accident. As it relates to the 2023 fire season, we have had relatively minor fires across the state. However, on August 14th, we had well over 12,000 lightning strikes impact the North Coast, Northern California, across to the eastern and northeastern portion of California. And then at the same time, that over 12,000 lightning strikes ignited a lot of fires, hundreds of fires across the North State. We had the remnants of Hurricane Hillary come across the Southern California area and create some damage and widespread flooding that occurred there. So generally speaking, our Forest Service partners, our interior partners, local government, tribal government, and the state are working together to mitigate those fires that we have across the 6 rivers and across the Klamath National Forest. And working together, we will get those mitigated. You know, there are some recent CAL FIRE grant awards, and then there are actually a federal announcement today. I don't want to take Sherry's thunder, but what a great opportunity. Sherry, I don't know if you were going to speak on the 8 projects, but I will let you speak on that if you want to. But from a CAL FIRE perspective, $113 million in wildfire prevention grant funds for 96 projects and $120 million in schoolyard greening through 2 rounds of funding for 29 grant opportunities there. And there's an additional $30 million that are designated for greening of nonprofit childcare facilities. So if anyone online or anybody in the room has knowledge of some nonprofit childcare facilities that could use some schoolyard greening, I would encourage them to apply, because this will be the second, if not the third attempt at delivering this great $30 million project to childcare facilities. The grants touch nearly 50 counties throughout the state and provide critical fire prevention projects and much needed shade for our schoolyards and underserved communities. Today, the task force will be launching a beta version of a first of its kind interagency treatment tracker that displays the size and location of state and federal forest and landscape resilience projects across California. The dashboard aligns multiple agency reporting systems, whereas CalMapper came out originally for CAL FIRE. Today, we're going to learn more about an interagency treatment tracker that is going to provide a lot of transparency to the public on treatments completed statewide and allow people to identify what the projects have occurred in their area. It'll show first responders where landscapes have been treated, not just fuel breaks, but landscapes as a whole have been treated so that they can use those as a strategic benefit related to the mitigation of our wildfires. It facilitates project planning, collaboration, and monitoring, and highlights interagency treatments that are collectively built on resilient landscapes and communities. So those will all be items that we'll be talking about here today. And I want to pass it to Sherry Hazelhurst with the United States Forest Service for any comments she may have.
Thank you, Chief Tyler. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be sitting in for our regional forester, Jennifer Eberlein. She's out sick today. She sends her best and wants you to know that she's with you in spirit. Before I continue, our deepest sympathies to our CAL FIRE family over the loss of the helicopter crew. We feel it too. We're all one team in this. So to the families, to the friends, to the colleagues, our sympathies, and I hope you know we're with you. I also wanted to take a moment to say that our hearts are going out to everyone in Hawaii, and particularly Maui, as they navigate the tragic wildfires that they've experienced and the losses, and hopefully a positive recovery. We empathize with them, knowing the impacts of those fires, that we've experienced similar things here in California, and they're always hard. We want to say mahalo, thank you to all of those people from California who are over helping. And I understand one of Joe's teams is there, California Office of Emergency Services and others. So thank you all to you all who are reaching out to support our colleagues in Hawaii. And summer is in full swing. So that means people are busy across the landscape, and we hope we're using your time wisely today as we explore what the task force has been doing. Earlier this month, we had Senator Padilla here hosting the 27th Tahoe Summit. While there, the regional forester had a chance to catch up on the work going on in the basin and let the senator know all of the good things happening there, in addition to recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit. So congratulations to them as well. At the same time, as Chief Tyler mentioned, we've got crews working on fire suppression and cleaning up repairs from a crazy tropical storm that we haven't experienced in some time, remembering what that's all about. We've got other teams out making people feel welcome and safe in our recreation areas, enjoying some of that beautiful summer weather in California. Earlier this month, our United States Department of Agriculture and Forest Service team got to make a special visit with the Yurok, Karuk, and Hupa tribes in Northern California. They came away so impressed and remarked that they had so much to learn about the relationship that the tribes hold with the land and the ways in which we can care for and steward them together. We've also seen home and business owners busy making home improvements to create defensible space, install fire resilient materials to be fire ready. And at our last meeting in May in Santa Cruz, we had the opportunity to learn a little bit about the natural systems of the Central Coast. Everything from the scrublands on the beaches to the ancient redwood rainforests. We heard from locals about how they're collaborating to manage a unique range of ecosystems. And on the field trips, we had a firsthand look at where partners are reducing wildfire risks, restoring areas burned by fires, improving forest health conditions, and using wood materials from the forest. For today's meeting, as Joe pointed out, we're excited to see this new tool that's going to help us with our project planning and accountability. We're going to hear from colleagues at the Bureau of Land Management about a new project they've got in California, and from our regional framework leaders about how things are working across the state. Finally, we'll hear from some partners helping to fund and implement large landscape projects. And we hope you find these meetings valuable and value your feedback at any time to help us make this the best use of your time. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Sherry. It's important, while we normally all sit on the executive committee, in the absence of our co-chairs, it's important to acknowledge and give opportunities for our executive committee to be able to make any comments that they may want to open here. So hopefully with just a couple of minutes so we can stay on track, I'll start with Katie Landau.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Katie Landau. I'm a special advisor to the Deputy Secretary at Cali, PA, and I'm here today on behalf of Secretary Yana Garcia, who apologizes that she was not able to make it. So very quickly, Cali, PA oversees the Air Resources Board and the State Water Resources Control Board. So we're really focused with the work of the task force on protecting the air quality and the water quality. I did just want to give an update on one of the action items for this task force, which is the permit synchronization. And it has been a project that the 1492 leadership team has been taking on. The first step of that project is to get a contract in place, and we're looking to have that done in the next few weeks with the process to start looking at the current processes of the permits at the various agencies here. And a big part of that will also be doing stakeholder outreach to hear from all of the folks who are doing permits for this restoration and this preventative work. So definitely stay tuned for that in the coming weeks, and we look to have that started by the end of the year. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. Next, I want to go to Richard Barhide with the Pacific Southwest Research Station.
Thanks, Joe. Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to give you a few updates on the Forest Service research side, some activities that we've been working on. It's really been a great opportunity with the regional resource kits that have now been completed in 3 out of the 4 ecoregions, with the last one in Northern California to be done in September. It's been a chance really for us to work directly with the large landscapes, land managers across the state. And some of the areas we've been focusing on right now are some of the large landscapes associated with the U.S. Forest Service wildfire crisis strategy landscapes that have been identified. So especially in the Plumas and the Stanislaus and in Southern California as well. We've been partnering through the task force with Region 5 here in the Pacific Southwest region of the Forest Service, and also with the California Climate Hub and others to conduct trainings on the use of the regional resource kits, the data that are available through those, and to help inform project planning and decision making. We also have the initial or minimum viable product with Planscape that we've been continuing to support. This has been the large collaborative effort led by CNRA and Google.org that we've been supporting as well. And that will give some really additional capability both to look at the data provided by the resource kits to be able to assess the conditions on the landscape, and then also look at different objectives and consider how those objectives can be met through different treatment programs and other planning that can be done to achieve a range of different objectives on the landscape. So that have been continuing to work with the partners on that. Excited that those capabilities have been progressing. We're very close to that together to having that minimum viable product. And then I'd also just mention that across all of so I'm in the Pacific Southwest Research Station, one of a series of region-based, geographic-based research stations that we have at the U.S. Forest Service. And we have been all working together across all stations across the country, and really bringing together capabilities across multiple disciplines to help support the large landscape planning that's going on here in California and throughout the Western U.S. as part of the U.S. Forest Service wildfire crisis strategy. So we have really bringing in different expertise across multiple stations that will be available to support the work directly here in California. So those are some of the things that we have going on, and I'll turn it back to you, Joe. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Richard. And next we'll go to Don Hankins with the Indigenous Stewardship Network.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, some updates for the Indigenous Stewardship Network. And first, I just want to say thanks for the acknowledgements of everything this morning, today with the start of the meeting, with all the things happening in communities and whatnot. I think we've had a really good start to the season, kind of a blessed season in a lot of respects, with the more recent lightning ignitions and things like that. Hopefully achieving some good ecological goal out there. But to think about that, one, I just want to give, as I said, some updates for the Indigenous Stewardship Network. At our last meeting in Santa Cruz, there was some discussion about the Department of Conservation's funding of the Indigenous Stewardship Network, which we now have a contract agreement that's been executed. So that's a nice support for the furthering of Indigenous stewardship in the state. With that, we have our Rekindling Fire program that we have some projects that are wrapping up with different tribal groups also across the state. Many of those projects you've probably heard about in Lake County and other areas around the state. So really exciting to see some movement happening with the tribal communities, building capacity around the types of fire that they would like to see there in their own homelands. We've also got an opportunity coming forward for folks who are interested as our network director position, which we've only initially circulated within the Indigenous Stewardship Network, but we'll be doing a little broader search. So be on the lookout for that if you have folks that might be interested in that. Beyond that, we're obviously in a season where we're starting to do a lot of planning around burning. We've got a lot of good opportunities coming forward this fall, a lot of good partnerships with the Prescribed Fire Training Exchange burns up on the Yurok reservation and that surrounding area. In Lake County, there's also some tribal initiatives going on there. And then in Butte County, we're also focusing our Trex event this year around the themes of cultural burning, ecological burning, and what's the other theme around the bigger capacity of the concept of the Prescribed Fire Training Center, which we often hear about within the state. So we're pushing things forward. To that end, I just wanted to also note that the Indigenous Stewardship Network was pleased to see the release of the Prescribed Fire Claims Fund, which is now out there. And I mentioned that only because I see two of the key folks in the back, and I can't see everybody in here, but Len and Lenya, thanks for your support and ushering that along. All right, thanks.
Yeah, that was definitely a long road for both of you and the rest of the committee members great work on the prescribed fire claims fund. With that, Sam with OPR.
Thanks, Joe. Before I start, I just want to express my sympathy as well and condolences to the families and Chief Tyler, Joe, to you and your staff. This must be incredibly difficult. I can't even imagine. Again, I'm Sam Asaf. I'm the Director of the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. My office, among other things, is responsible for the state's comprehensive land use policies. And as such, we focus primarily about the future and how do we address especially challenges of climate change, specifically in this case, fire. So my team at OPR does a number of, has a number of engagement working to get California communities to be safe in terms of how they use their land, but also use data and research to inform how we get our communities resilient. And as we know, the trend of this increasing intensity of fire and other disasters from climate change are required that we rethink the way we do things. And what I'm really proud about, especially this task force and the thinking about this state, is how it is continuously evolving and innovating in terms of how we respond to these challenges. Within my office, one forthcoming resource I'm excited to share is our evacuation technical assistance document, which will help communities and local governments comply with recent legislation regarding evacuation planning. We expect to release this document sometime in October, and it has incredible amount of resources and current data and information to guide local jurisdictions during fire disasters, specifically on evacuation. And then we know this year's fire season served as a personal reminder for my team on how climate change is impacting us in every part of our work, including wildfires, and how those conditions have such far-reaching impacts and disrupt many aspects of our life and our work. The recent fires in the North State coincided with a public workshop we had planned, OPR had planned to gather input for the 5th climate change assessment, which we had to postpone due to priority of the immediate fire response. The irony that wildfires forced the postponement of an opportunity to gather local input on a report about climate impacts is not lost on us. So this has so much direct impact in all of our lives and everything that we do. With this in mind, I just wanted to express, again, my gratitude for the work of this task force and for today's conversations, specifically about regional frameworks and investment approaches. Using forums like this to connect the dots between our forest management needs, long-term wildfire resilience, agency responsibilities, partnerships, and funding will allow us and will allow California to move forward together. And I'm looking forward to contribute OPR's perspective to this work. And I'm looking forward to listening to the panel discussion today. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Sam. And last on the executive committee, we'll go with Doug Teeter with California State Association of Counties.
Thank you. It's actually Rural County Representatives of California, but
I'm
that's all right.
sorry.
That's all right. We work hand in hand with
I
CSAC.
should know better.
Next time, I'll expect that. Anyway, I mean, yeah, the loss of lives related to fires is very sad. And being a survivor of the Camp Fire, the Maui fires really hit home. And I remember speaking shortly after the Camp Fire, like, you know, I hoped that the Camp Fire would be the end of massive loss of life. And it looks to be well surpassed in Maui. And my heart goes out to the survivors and the families who've lost loved ones. And, you know, that's why I think being on this board, I sit at the pleasure of RCRC's 40 member counties. And, you know, it's tough wrangling 40 member board, But I think we're pretty, all on the same page that, it's not just pace and scale that needs to increase. We need CEQA change, and RCRC, you know, there's one side of it that's lobbying. And then there's another side where we take RCRC's money and we try to make a difference, and it's in wood utilization with the Golden State Natural Resources. And just being part of that process of trying to start a business in California under our CEQA limitations, it's a nightmare. And we may not be successful. And, you know, the state and the feds have been really good at bringing a lot of money to the table, but there just isn't enough money. And at some point, the money's going to dry up. And so if we don't get businesses up and running that can pay for this fuels reduction, it's going to fail. And we're going to have more Mauis. We're going to have more campfires. So sorry, I'm not super positive in that, but I think that's the reality. And I think all Californians are now experiencing insurance problems due to the fires. And you know, it's gonna really hit home, and it's a challenge. And I'm proud to be on this task force. I just wish we'd do more pace and scale. I know all of us wish for that. It's just, you know, money, time, and the battles with environmental issues. On a positive note, you got Butte County bookending this task force. Don and I are from the same area. We're on two different ridges. He's over in Forest Ranch. I'm over on the Paradise Ridge. And so Butte County strong. Thanks, Don. Back to you.